Breaking news, the 24-year-old Marine, Daniel Penny, who took down Jordan Neely on the F train in Manhattan, is to be charged with second-degree manslaughter. This, according to the New York Times, says here, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office confirmed that it planned to charge Mr. Penny in the killing of Jordan Neely in a statement. Quote, Daniel Penny will be arrested on a charge of manslaughter in the second degree. We cannot provide any additional information until he has been arraigned in Manhattan criminal court, which we expect to take place tomorrow. And of course, the person bringing these charges is none other than Alvin Bragg. Remember Alvin Bragg? The guy who wanted to bring these trumped up charges against Trump for something that happened so many years ago? Well, I think it's time we turn the tables and we indict Alvin Bragg for allowing somebody like Jordan Neely to go in and out of the system 40 times and not get the mental health that he needed. Indict Alvin Bragg. And it's about time that you people out there had some balls and you stood up to the mob and you said, no, you are not going to determine the verdict in a case. No, you're not going to pressure the DA to bring charges. What about the 2 or 3 other people who were involved in this case, who also tried to subdue Mr. Neely? Are you going to bring charges against them, Mr. Bragg? Mr. Penny encountered Mr. Neely, 30, on an F train on May 1st and placed him in a chokehold. Well, it wasn't a chokehold, it was a submission hold. Killing him, witnesses told the police that Mr. Neely had been shouting at passengers, but there has been no indication that he physically attacked anyone. Okay, so he wasn't impersonating Michael Jackson on the train. He was shouting at other passengers. Why aren't you investigating this, Mr. Bragg? The police interviewed Mr. Penny, but released him without charging him. So you interviewed him, but you didn't charge him at the time. Sounds to me like Alvin Bragg is trying to use Mr. Penny as the poster boy. Video of the killing set off protest, and the Manhattan District Attorney's Office began investigating soon afterward. And what about all those protesters standing on the subway tracks? Are you going to prosecute them? Mr. Neely's killing and the lack of immediate legal repercussions for Mr. Penny became flashpoints in the city. The struggle on the F train was captured in a 4-minute video showing Mr. Penny performing a chokehold, it wasn't a chokehold, on Mr. Neely and holding on for an additional 50 seconds after Mr. Neely stopped struggling. Well, there's also video out there that Mr. Penny stayed with this guy until help arrived. Nobody's talking about that part of the video. Many city leaders, politicians, and advocates for New Yorkers struggling with homelessness and mental illness called for Mr. Penny's immediate arrest. Instead of calling for Mr. Penny's immediate arrest. Now, was he guilty of something here? I don't think he was. Can you claim negligence? Possibly. But how about focusing on the homelessness and mental illness problem in your city instead of going after somebody like Mr. Penny? But these city leaders, politicians, and advocates, in other words, these activists, are calling for Mr. Penny's immediate arrest. Again, the mob's trying to rule the day here. Tell the mob no. They said Mr. Neely's killing highlighted the city. I don't think it was an intentional killing here. Is it sad that Mr. Neely died? Yes, it is. But he shouldn't have been allowed to go in and out of the system 40 times, Mr. Bragg. This happened under your watch, and you should be held accountable. But they're saying here that Mr. Neely's death highlights the city's failure to care for its most vulnerable and marginalized residents. Well, I'm sorry. Some guy who goes in and out of the system 40 times, is arrested 40 times, has all these charges, is not vulnerable. What about the woman that he attacked, who was 67 years old? Physically attacked this woman. Oh, this just burns me up. Also says here, other New Yorkers, while stunned by the killing and critical of Mr. Penny's actions, reflected on their frustrations and fears about the city's transit system, even as the rate of major felony crimes on the subway have fallen in recent months. In a statement released several days after Mr. Neely's death, Mr. Penny's lawyer said that their client never intended to harm Mr. Neely and could not have foreseen his untimely death. Exactly. You have to prove in a court of law intent. Malice, intent, what did you know, when did you know it? That's what you have to prove. And they go on to talk about the lawyers here. I'm not going to go through that, just for the sake of time. But that's the latest here. Breaking news. Daniel Penny, 24-year-old Marine, who tried to subdue Jordan Neely. He's going to be charged with second-degree manslaughter. But as I said, we should indict Alvin Bragg. Because ultimately, it's his responsibility to make sure that the sentences for the crimes that have been committed in New York City, that they are enforced. Instead of turning felonies into misdemeanors, Mr. Bragg. So I thought I'd come here, give you my 2 cents. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. You can also follow me at Instagram, #JasonComposes, because I write music in my spare time. Or you can find me at Twitter, Culture Confederacy, at CultureConfed1 on Twitter. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out, stay safe, everybody. God bless this thing called the United States. You know how we do it here. This is where the past crashes with the present. I'll catch you next time.